Am was the perfect baby. She never, ever cried. And I guess I didn't believe in babies crying unnecessarily.
Wow.
And then came Noe.
Cancer rising.
For some reason, Noe was constantly hungry when she was born.
That still checks out.
Noelle just woke up from her sleep like... And
Oh my
I'll let you
God.
know that my feeders were so sore that they needed medicine. And when I had to put Noe on, which was never experienced with them, I had to put Noe on, I had to brace myself like, oh my God, this is so gonna hurt. And the doctor actually trained me to stick my finger in her mouth so she wouldn't clamp so hard, like basically chomp. Thank God there was no teeth.
Oh.
And that was Noe.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the 11th episode of the Metamorphosis podcast with
Am,
Noe and
Mama G.
Mama G. Okay, so excited. So if anyone has seen, I think it was episode number 3 of our podcast, first guest ever was none other than our beautiful mom. I think it actually, it was his second guest. We had our beautiful mom on, and Mama G.
well, no.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, definitely go watch it to get an idea of who Mama G is. Of course, Mama G, like the name, she's our beautiful mother. A huge reason for who we are and why we are the people we are today. If you've ever joined one of our lives, you would see her. She joins those frequently. Any of our content. But yeah, welcome back.
Welcome, my
How you
angel.
feeling?
Hi.
You're so cute.
I'm so excited.
Yeah?
I'm so excited.
Good.
Yeah. I don't
Good.
know. I have no idea what we're really going to talk about, but that's okay.
That's the best. When we
I'm
just,
ready.
Where
Yeah.
the conversation takes us. But
Yeah.
we do have just an overall theme, and we chatted about this already. And what we want to talk about primarily today is Mama G's parenting advice. Advice for parents, what she would like to share from her experience being our beautiful mother. We are biased, but we do think she did a very, very good job raising us.
Yeah.
And we had an amazing childhood. Could not have asked for a better one. So
Yeah, well, so our first podcast that we did, it was more focused on us coming out and what that was like from the mom perspective. But today, I think, just diving into our childhood, we can just start and see what that was like. But there's so many nuggets even on our lives. You have so much wisdom to share. Again, like Am said, we're biased, but I think even from an outsider perspective, a lot of feedback that we've gotten is you've just done a wonderful job and you're such a beautiful person. So with that, let's maybe dive in and just see where the conversation goes. So first of all, I mean, it's no secret to us, but we were not fully planned babies, were we?
we're starting from the real
No, because
beginning.
I almost want to
Yeah.
get your thoughts of day one, you find out you're pregnant with Am. What are you thinking?
Wow. Well, let
Can
me
I
think
actually
back.
bring us
Go
a little
ahead.
bit further
Go
back
ahead.
to get to that question, because I
Yeah.
think this one might be even better. Not better, but just a segue.
Segue, yeah.
Is Jen, like, let's say 20s, just entering your adult life. What was your plan for your life? What were your thoughts? Did you see children? Did you want to have children? And then I think
That's a good
the
point.
next
Yeah.
one.
I like that because where life takes you and where you end up is incredible. So the shortcut version is I dated a number of different guys from university, from high school.
A number, eh?
Yeah.
Well, less than
Okay,
on
no,
two
just
hands.
kidding.
Less
I'm
than
just-
on
I'm
two
just
hands.
kidding. I'm
Maybe
not
on
trying-
one hand. Actually, I probably dated
It's okay.
on one
I was
hand.
joking though.
But I was really picky, right? And so there was actually a point in time, I told you guys, that I remember lying in my bed, all my friends had boyfriends, and I'd date a guy once or twice and say, nope, not for me. Really nice guys, everything. And then I realized I'm probably going to be single for the rest of my life because I'm so picky. So I remember lying in my bed, talking to God, saying, it's okay. I accept that I'm going to be single because I'm not willing to settle.
Yeah.
And my brother's handsome guy, dates a lot of girls. I know he's going to get married. I'm just going to look after his kids. They're going to think I'm mom. And I was quite content with that. And then I met your dad. And I throw that out there. When you least expect it, when you're not hunting it down, that's when it comes.
Yeah, I believe
And
that.
I never thought that. I never
Preach.
did it for that reason, but it did happen. And so I met your dad, what I was looking for. I actually dated your dad for 4 whole years before I got married. Why? As I said, I'm not willing to settle. I'd rather be by myself. And so I kind of indirectly was watching. I want to say put him through tests, but I didn't have to give him any tests because 4 years, lots of things are thrown your way. And I'm watching. How are you handling that? What are you doing? Because are you someone that I want to be with? And so after 3+ years, it was, yeah, I think so. And this is how we got married.
Okay, so you get married, and did you always knew you wanted to have kids or no?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So then, what was it? So age, this was about 25, you got married, right? And so then...
What was your plan?
My plan was we are going to take our time and get married, and at least for 3 to 5 years, no kids, live our lives, travel the world, buy the house of our dreams, and then have kids.
But what happened?
Well, let me tell you, we took marriage prep courses because the Catholic religion forces you to take them. And they taught us natural family planning. And so I never thought about family planning or what if you want to delay having kids. And apparently I was so good at it that they said that I should help teach it. Thank God I did it, because literally 6 months after I got married, so September, October, November, December, January, February, March, 6 months, probably exactly on my birthday, and was conceived. We weren't even
March
married a year.
13th is her birthday. December 13th is
Nine
mine.
months to the day.
And then
hilarious.
9 months after that, Noe was born.
So that family planning really worked, didn't it?
I threw out all that information. I was like, I'm not relying on that. Sorry.
That's
It probably
hilarious.
does work, but it didn't work
it didn't
for
work
me.
for you. So, day one, you find out you're pregnant. What are you feeling? What are you thinking?
What was your reaction?
Shock.
Shock, yeah.
Shock. Oh my God, what just happened? And then no looking back. Let's just go with it. And total and complete excitement.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
What was Dad's reaction?
Euphoric, because he wanted 12 children.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
12
I know.
M&O's.
Can you imagine if we had 12 of those ladies? Okay, so then let's maybe fast forward. So Am's born, and because we know this, that, well, actually maybe you can say it, because, so what do? You get a new baby, you bring them home, and what do you do from there? Because also, to preface, you didn't have the internet. Now they literally say you just type in Google and that's how you learn how to parent. How did you learn what to do?
That's a darn good question. So thinking back, none of my friends had kids, whether those married or not. None of my relatives had kids, so I was pretty much on my own, and relying heavily on what I would imagine my mom would have done. And so this is what I was doing. We had the most phenomenal pediatrician. I got so lucky because we lived right here. And I'm going to put a shout out. I don't even know if he's living. Dr. Raymond Ng. And he actually...
I remember Dr.
Do
Ng.
you remember
I
how
remember.
amazing he was?
Yeah.
He was actually a teacher at U of T for pediatricians.
I remember
Like,
him.
just
He was a good
incredible.
guy.
And he would give us a little piece of paper to conserve paper with a routine on it. What to feed, when to put to bed, and exercises. And I'm pretty meticulous, as you guys would know. I followed it to a T. Like, exercise the little arms and the little
Oh,
legs.
stop, that's so cute. And like just realizing too, like there's no phones, there's no like he
Well,
can't
there's a
I guess-
rotary phone.
I guess no, but like just email I guess is the only other thing. But like
Yeah, I
They
writing
didn't
think
have
there's
email. They
email
didn't have
either.
computers.
Yeah.
They didn't have computers.
Mom, you had email at work.
Not
Email
at that-
existed, but I guess you didn't even have a computer at that
I don't
time.
even
No,
think the
but what
internet.
my point is
there
was no internet.
There was
I-
no internet.
There
When
was
I
no
grew
internet.
up. No.
When
there
you
was
were
no
born.
internet.
when I was born, there was no internet.
I'm
Girl,
pretty sure.
wait,
No computers.
But so
at
then,
home.
how did you send messages to people? Like
The rotary
when you
phone.
worked at work, did you worked on a computer?
Emmy.
Girl, work existed before computers.
Yeah, Emmy.
I'm
no,
asking
the
her what she
internet.
did at her
Because
work.
I studied computer science.
So
Why
there you
didn't
go.
Emmy? I didn't have a computer at home. I
I
had to go
understand.
into school.
Okay, but there still were computers. The
But-
only point I'm trying to make here is like there's no phones, no internet.
There's
Sure,
no-
there was
yeah.
was some technology. It's not that point, but my thing is like you have to write it down on a piece of paper and take it home and remember to have that piece of paper. Like now we would take a picture, we'd have it digitally.
Yeah,
Like
no.
y-
And I
so-
wish I had them because my
Yeah.
doctor was very rare. Most people don't get that. I was told what food to feed you, what quantity, timing, and everything, and I followed it meticulously. The other thing I want to say is Am was the perfect baby. She never, ever cried. And I guess I didn't believe in babies crying unnecessarily. And so Amy would just wake up in her little crib and you just hear this cooing like, ooh, ah, ee. And I just instinctively knew, don't wait for that baby to cry. Why put it under stress?
Yeah.
So I jump out of my seat and grab this baby. And so I'm pretty sure I never ever heard Anne cry except when she was hungry or dirty and needed a changed diaper.
Wow.
And so I'd kind of walk up and down a hall 150 times, probably counting it till she went to bed at night. But it was
It's kind of interesting
incredibly
because I
scary.
still don't really cry too much. Like it's not like it's still hard for me. Like versus like comparatively between the two of us, like it's hard for me to cry still.
Isn't that
So-
that's
I
really
didn't connect
interesting
that.
because you never had any need to cry as a child,
Wow.
and then came Noe.
Cancer rising.
Oh, that's so funny. It makes sense. You're a Cancer.
Well, yeah, totally different. Not for any reason, except for some reason, Noe was constantly hungry when she was born.
still checks out.
And so I don't know
Something's
how much
okay.
detail we could get into.
You can say it.
But yeah, so Noe was always
Just
looking
gonna
for
say.
food. And Am had to actually be tickled under her toes to stay awake to eat because she never was ever interested in eating, and had to have a diaper change in between feeding so that she would eat a decent amount. And so it just was like really tough to motivate her to eat. However, she, as a baby, constantly wanted to be stimulated and absorb things,
That's
and is still that
crazy.
way till today. And when Amy was born, the doctor actually said, when she came out, babies have a very tender neck and you're supposed to nurture those very much so. But Am could hold up that long neck and was just staring around. And the doctor who delivered you actually said, this one's going to be a surgeon because, whoa, like that's so unheard
I
of.
didn't cry, right? Like normally
Didn't
babies
cry?
come out and they
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think they took you away before they spanked you to clean you to get you to cry. But very rarely did I ever find you crying.
Wow. Wow.
And then
that's so
came
interesting.
Noe. And Noe only cried to eat, but she was always hungry.
So I only cried.
No, you did not only cry. You were really
She cried or she
incredible.
jumped.
Yeah.
She cried, well, yes.
Jumpy-
So
jolly
Noe
jumper.
probably takes a little page from me with the little needing to do things all the time. And so my sister-in-law, God bless her soul, Nancy, realized like a swinging swing, which I never needed for him and never had, and the jumper, the door jumper, I
Jolly
guess it would be
jumper.
called a jolly jumper, those were Noe's best friends. I don't think you'd ever find her outside of those when she wasn't in someone's arms.
Again, some things never change. Yeah.
And wanted to eat so badly. Amy, as I told you, had to tickle toes and change a diaper. But Noelle just woke up from her sleep like... And I'll let you know that my feeders were so sore that they needed medicine. And when I had to put Noe on, which was never experienced with them, I had to put Noe on, I had to brace myself like, oh my God, this is so gonna hurt. And the doctor actually trained me to stick my finger in her mouth so she wouldn't clamp so hard, like basically chomp. Thank God there was no teeth. And that was Noe. But just a totally different experience. And yes, this one's go.
Yeah.
And this one is teach me, put in my head.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's so interesting.
It's
how
crazy. And it's so true. Like, it checks
the personalities show
And it
even
just
before you
materializes.
can speak.
And so as a parent, people say, well, you already have one. And so you have two, no big deal. You know what to expect. Hell no. And then I feel really badly for those that have 3, 4, 5, because I think every experience is completely
unique.
different.
Yeah.
So one thing I want to touch on, because again, we know this and we can just bring up points as we think, but because there's 2 of us, and I'm sure with any siblings, 2 or more, there's competitiveness. There's, Am's used to just being the center of attention for one whole year. All of a sudden there's a new little child that's getting the attention. And so how did you, because we know you've done a lot of great things to navigate that. So how did you learn to navigate that? To not create jealousy, to not create competition or bitterness, now that there's a new baby.
Well,
Or even learn to navigate it, but then even how did you start to, how did you even think about it?
That's what I
okay.
mean.
Yeah.
So there's 2 stages to that. There's post you guys 3, 4, where I actually got into reading to learn how to parent. But previous to that, you know what I'm so grateful for? It's the basic of empathy. Put yourself in that person's shoes. So no one ever taught me to put myself in Amy's shoes and realize what I would see is, and I'm a huge people person, Amy's face looking up to me, knowing I never let her cry, I never had her ask for anything, and here comes Noe. And she's too young. She's literally 9 months, a year. Yes, you're a year and 5 days apart.
Yeah, a
so
year.
she's literally a year old, looking at me like, okay, nothing's changed. And I cannot explain to her, yes, it has.
Mm-hmm.
So Dad would come home and find the 3 of us crying on the floor. And he would say, what's wrong? Like, can't I handle it? And I would be like, she's crying. She's a tiny baby, 1 week old, and she needs something, but she doesn't understand that I have to tend to her and I can't go and deal with her needs. And she can't talk. So she's crying. I don't know what she needs. And she's crying, and I can guess it's to feed or to change a diaper. And I don't want her crying and thinking I dumped her for her. So I just decided to cry with them. And I'd sit on the floor, one on one hand and one on the other, think I'm waiting for him to come home, like, help!
Oh my God.
Because I don't want him to think I chose her.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
And
so
no one taught me
hard.
that, but I knew that. And
That's
then
so cute.
I'd pile gifts at home because I realized not everybody knows to bring Am a gift.
Yeah.
And this is just a 1-year-old. And can you imagine being Am, watching people walk through the door with tons of gifts for her and nothing for her? So the odd person that wouldn't know, I mean, she's the one who wants the gift more than anything. She can't even see the gift. She doesn't even know what the gift is. People didn't know that. So
Yeah.
I'd have a closet full of gifts and I'd run and pretend that the people brought one for Amy too, so she'd never be jealous of her. And so I guess I intuitively worked on never having a situation where you would be jealous of her from day one. This
That's
I was
beautiful.
never taught.
Yeah.
I just...
Instinctively knew. Yeah.
Can you say what you did with the tooth fairy? Before you do, actually, can you just pass that blanket now that Bougie's there? I'm just going to throw it there.
You could
Throw it all
tell
the way
her.
there. Oh, well, so what was cute is in our childhood, and this is just another example, there's probably so many more, but when we would lose our teeth and the tooth fairy would come, let's say I lost my tooth, I would wake up and I'd have a toonie under my pillow, and then Am would have a loonie under her pillow. So, and then vice versa. When Am would lose a teeth, the other would still get something. The one who lost a tooth would get more, but it would still be an exciting time for the other one.
Yeah. For those of you guys who don't know what toonie and loony is, for the non-Canadians, a toonie is $2 and then a loony is $1.
Yeah.
So we would get double. The other one would still get something. Yeah.
You know what? I never learned that anywhere. I just, again, it was like, what do you do so that she never, because I heard so much about how tough it is when the child feels jealousy, my brain was so focused on how do I not go there?
Yeah. How do I avoid this situation? Yeah.
And that's all my actions were around that.
Yeah. Well, I guess you kind of answered a bit of that, but let's start with each phase. I mean, luckily there's the internet now, but let's say there's a newborn mom out there, a mom with a newborn, and there's Google and stuff, sure. What's the number one piece of advice you would give to a brand new mom right now?
My advice to a newborn mom, I'm sure you hear it all the time, enjoy each and every moment. So truth be told, because I was all but 26 years old when I had Amy, recently Amy said, oh, I don't want to have FOMO. And I had to be reminded, because that's not my generation, fear of missing out. I had quite a bit of that when Amy was born, when we were at social gatherings, because I breastfed both children. And I'd have to go upstairs and be by myself. And I'm really upset my girlfriends never had that compassion to come up and sit with me. So I'd be in a room all by myself and a little sad that I was missing out on all this fun. But to know that, I just want to make sure I really, really say this for any parent listening or a child to tell their parent, you have these pieces of gold for maybe 13, 14 years, maybe less, where they look up to you as a god or a goddess. That's it. Like, they just worship the ground that you walk on at a young age. Why would you rush that and throw that away? And now, when they're older, in their mid-teens and 20s, you come very second if you even place in top 5. So remember that. That's your time to cherish every single moment and not worry about anything else. This comes first.
Oh, you're still number one. Only I think.
I'll call you on Saturday night and let's see if that phone gets
I just
answered.
remember that few years of puberty where maybe
she ranked a little lower in that stage, but then she went right back to number one.
And so, yeah, that's what I would say to the newborn, people who have newborns, but just at any stage, when you're number one, relish in that, because it does not last.
That's a beautiful piece of advice. Wanted to ask, so when you had us and you're struggling, you're on the ground crying with us both, it's a whole thing. What was your way of coping? And how did you kind of like, I know for a fact, because I know you're a big learner, just like me. We love to absorb information. That's exactly where I got it from. So, like, how did you kind of go get help? Like, what was your sort of, like, mechanisms to cope or, be like, how do I figure this out? Because I have these 2 kids crying. And were there any things that you did to kind of help yourself?
I'm probably not a good source for that because I am a doer. So what I did do is realize this is my top priority. Everything comes second. And so I wasn't a user of a babysitter or anything like that. I never gave you to family. I think once I let my brother and his wife take care of UM. No, we never had a babysitter or anything like that. But basically, Dad and I knew that you guys came first and we put everything second, and making that realization in our heads made everything go smooth after that. let me tell you, before having you, Emmy, I was career hungry. I'm at a school, I just finished 4 years at U of T. I'm going from here to here in 5 years or less. So watch out. And I was on this career path, and boom, I get married a few years after I start work, 3 years, and everything's on hold.
Yeah.
But thank goodness I was okay with that. I didn't choose it, I didn't plan it, but it did happen. And now what are you going to do? And my workplace had a seminar for new parents. And my boss and I went, and they asked that golden question, why did you have children? Transformational, life-changing. I love challenges, and so I thought, this is a pretty easy question. Why did I have children? I think we actually had to write it down. I could not answer that question. I mean, why do you have a child? And I mean, the basic answer is, I have a child because you're supposed to have a child after you get married, I guess.
That's so true.
Right? Why? I mean, whoever asks you that? And you just think, you get married and you have kids, but do you know what? If you don't want to have kids, you should not have kids, because that's beyond a full-time job. And so I always knew I wanted children. Why? Because I love children. As a young girl, you would find me around all the kids. Even as I grew, I love children.
Till this day.
Till
Even
today,
now, yeah.
you can see it.
Yeah.
I love children. So I knew I was going to have children because I love children, but that doesn't, like, why?
Yeah.
Just because you love them doesn't mean you're going to be a good parent.
So true.
Do you know what it takes? And I'm very upset with society for that. There should be a 101 introduced at school, what it takes to be a good parent. Because, I mean, just like, what does it take to be a good boss? I don't think there's good training on that either.
Yeah.
And these are basics. What is it, like, what do you need to have to be a good parent? Tons of patience, tons of putting yourself second. None of this, I want my children to be my friends. I mean, whoever came up with that? No. You play parent role. Friend role comes second.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Always.
I think parent and then friend, but that, just because you said it, that's such an interesting point. And I think, like, I agree. I don't, this is my personal opinion, I don't think everyone was put on this earth to procreate. I don't think every person needs to be a parent, and that, like, but like you said, I think the only people who should be parenting are the ones who truly want it. And I think it almost goes hand in hand, because the one who truly wants it will have the patience, will do the work, will do the research and think and have the empathy to probably turn out to be a good parent. You know what I mean?
I like what you said, Noe, and I hope so. But I have encountered people who want kids, want more kids, did have more children than I did. And if I were to watch them, I would not classify them personally as a good parent.
You bring up that's another good point, because I think it probably takes a step deeper. Not just want kids for the right reasons.
For a good reason.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah, it's not just
Want
the
kids
wants
well,
that
for the right
justify
reason.
And so we go back to this question, and I challenge parents, and please write back and tell us your answers, because I promise you that's a very complex question to answer. I'm pretty deep thinker. It took me about a week to answer that question, and I promise from the day it was asked, it never left my head.
What was your answer?
My answer after a week of thinking is, I had children to give them the best life I'm able to give them, to put their needs ahead of mine. This was my choice. You don't have to do that, but this was my choice. And to nurture their talents and take it as far as they want to take it. And I'm pretty proud, because it did take a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of sacrifice. And for example, both girls played very high level basketball for quite some time. And that was very taxing on the family for both Dad and I. And then Noel went all the way to America. Amy would have definitely been there, but we had an ACL injury from soccer, not even basketball. But yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, not to mention we did go very far with, obviously, your support with basketball, but amongst karate, soccer, swimming, piano, probably gymnastics,
tennis,
acro, dance,
dancing.
We did it all.
And so I love that you said that. Our goal was to introduce them to as many sports and activities as possible, and then let them choose where they want to take it and if they want to take it anywhere.
That's so beautiful. I have another question. So now the baby phase, and a really good piece of advice to have the empathy and not to make each other jealous. So now we're a little bit older, starting to go on playgrounds, school, maybe starting to be social with other kids, and that's a whole other aspect. What were your thoughts on that and how to navigate that? Now you have 2 little kids that are going to be interacting with other kids. How did you navigate that?
All I have to say is that there's a God, and I truly believe in God, and I'm very grateful. And that advice that came to us later on when the girls were older, probably Amy in high school, brought home, put out what you want. And having never heard that, what I put out is, I want to be a great parent. And so what came to me through the most non-looking out means, like a means that I never ever imagined would come to me, is in my public speaking club, Toastmasters, which I want to put a plug in one day for another TikTok of self-development. Toastmasters, a public speaking club. I used to go religiously weekly to learn how to be a good person to speak publicly.
Public speaker.
A public speaker. I watched a woman give several speeches throughout a year on parenting. And I'm the one who is called a sponge, willing to absorb good information. I just think, wow, my socks are knocked off listening to her advice, and I'm really trying hard myself to be a great parent. I'm watching, I'm asking lots of questions, but she just comes, bam, delivers this great information. So one day I asked her, where do you get all this great information from? And she told me about a parent magazine and how she did all this research. I wish I did that. But anyway, she did all this research on every parent magazine, and she came out with 2, Today's Parent and Parents, the American magazine, and she actually let me borrow copies and told me I could get them in the library, and I chose the American magazine, Parents. Why? Because the Canadian magazine is pages and pages and pages of words to tell you 1 or 2 things, where the Americans do it in 1 or 2 paragraphs. Kudos to you guys who are from America. Short, quick, and incredible, succinct. And I ordered that magazine for about 10 plus years. And you get 1 magazine every single month. And I read those magazines back to back, upside down and backward, every single month for 10 years.
Wow.
And it taught me how to parent, you guys. And it goes from infancy. Every magazine has a little clips on infant, every age range, all the way till about high school. Plus, it tells you how to take care of yourself as a mom, how to take care of your husband, if he needs taking care of, and just incredible advice, your home, everything and anything. And it worked.
So looping back to the social, how we interact with other kids. I remember you saying to us, go talk to, like, you know what I mean? Encouraging us to go talk to other kids. Little things like that. That's where I'm getting at, because I remember being at the playground and you encouraging that.
I guess what I remember is, I think it was Amy, or who would hold back and not want to go and talk to children. And they would rely on me because I'm a big talker. And that I think I would remember hearing, I want this in a store. And I'd say, go ask that person where to get it. And they'd say, no, you go ask. And I'd say, no, you want it, you go ask. I'll come with you, but you go ask. And I remember kind of nurturing in the playground, go talk to the kids. And it would be like clinging on to me, like, what do you mean talk to the kids? And I would say, go over, ask them their name, ask them if you could, still kind of coaching where it was needed, right? What's really interesting is, although very close in age, both girls, both so enjoyable to be with, very, very different people. Amy would be like, here's a book, sit down and read it to me and tell me all about what's in it. And Noe is nowhere to be found. She is just lost in her little world doing her own thing. And I was a combination of both. I didn't need anybody guiding me, helping me, and sitting with me to have fun. But I also loved to learn. So I'm on cloud 9 because I've got one of each.
Yeah,
and what
so similar
I
too.
loved about it is I would often tell them when they were older, your job is to learn from her. And your job is to learn from her. Because if you put the two together, you have everything.
You get you.
You have everything.
Aw, wait, because it just cut off. You're like, the two of us. Then you get you, but also till this day we're doing that. Like till this day
we balance each other out.
We're balancing each other out and trying to learn from the other and appreciate the two different things that we bring.
Yeah.
And perhaps it's because I worked in human resources for so long, over 20 years, and I got a lot of coaching and learning. For example, on Myers-Briggs, this is another we have to come back and share, introversion, extroversion, etc. One personality type, one type of being is never, ever, ever, ever better than the other. And I believe that with my whole heart and soul. And I'm very, very disappointed at parents who have favorites. Like, I don't understand that because they're so different. What I think is terrible is a parent who sides with a child that's more like them.
Yeah.
That's so horrible. How do you know you're that good? I'm sorry to say that. Perhaps you are, but there's always so much to learn. And when I look at these two, like, such incredible characteristics and pieces of Anna, and then there's incredible characteristics and pieces of Noelle. It is just, you want both, and then you have perfection.
Yeah, I love that. I agree. There's something that everyone can offer.
Everyone, it doesn't matter, brings something beautiful to the table. It's primarily a parent's job to figure out what that is, alert the child of it, and let them shine.
That's beautiful. I have another really interesting question that is such a different angle to like what you were given as a parent that I think a lot of parents can relate to. And we can also save this for another episode if it's too deep, but navigating different opinions of two parents on bringing your children up. And of course, first, like probably making sure that you and our dad is on the same page with how you want to bring us up. But if there are differences in opinions, how do you handle that? And one specific example that is directly relatable is the difference of religions. How did you navigate deciding he decided I want to name my first daughter after my mom, which is a Muslim Arabic name, and then you're like, no, I don't. And then just in general, I want to raise my kids Muslim. I want to raise them Catholic. Like,
I'm so glad you raised that. Here's some tips. Write them down. Don't forget. We would talk about names. And I have never, ever, ever heard your name in my whole entire life. So there's certainly no way I would be calling you that. And so what ended up happening is he was speaking to his mom, who doesn't live in this country, he barely ever sees her, and says, I'm going to name my first daughter after you.
Which, just for anyone who doesn't know, my full name is Amna.
Amna.
A-M-N-A. So.
And
Amna.
I love my father. My father, who probably, maybe he did hear the name, but I doubt it. said it's a movie star name, and he treated her like a movie star, and she is a movie star. So it came true, but I had never heard that name, and I don't believe I would have called my child that name because I don't know that name. I'm not aware of it. However, there's no looking back, and so negotiate that name well in advance if it's important to you, because it was important to me, but it all worked out beautifully. So there's the name, and then there's the religion. So we talked very heavily about that because I am a churchgoer and I love my religion, and
You're Roman Catholic.
I'm Roman Catholic, and I can see it in my mind that we said we would raise you both, teach you both religions. However, after you guys were born, he was a little more adamant that you were Muslim. And so there were issues there. So where I came from on that is I don't want to argue about religion now that you're born.
Yeah.
Where does that lead? So I am not happy hearing my husband say, they're going to be Muslim, they are Muslim. That's not what I remember negotiating, getting married. Get it in writing.
I was going to say, learning from that, sign a contract.
The name of your kids, the religion of your children, get it in writing. And so I knew that I could probably fight hard and get somewhere of teaching them both, which we eventually did, or having them Catholic, but to know good ends means, because that would probably be the separation of me and my husband at the end of the day, and I didn't want to go there. I didn't want my children not to have both parents. So I sacrificed quite a bit there and sort of just let it go and slowly introduce the Catholic religion into your lives. And we got really lucky. We lived in a neighborhood where there was a Catholic school down the street, and that's where you went to high school and things like that, and we're able to learn both. But originally your dad wanted you to be Muslim.
And so I don't think I knew that part. You did kind of just say, okay, just
to
kind of not have...
It's a good question, Amy. I'm trying to remember because I wasn't coached on, what questions and stuff, but thank you for asking that. Where I landed, remember, I'm a deep thinker, and I'm, how do you not get them jealous? So I would think, I don't want to let go of my religion on this, but he's very adamant. They're Muslim. I told you they're going to be Muslim, and I don't remember that. And I remember pretty deeply.
Damn.
So what I did come to terms with is both religions believe in God. They don't both believe in Mary in the same way. For example, I wanted to call you guys Mary, right? So I was like, both religions believe in God. Let's focus on what is common. And so I introduced to your dad, okay, we both believe in God. These children are going to believe in God. Let's totally only focus talking about God in this house. So we're not going to talk about Mary. We're not going to talk about Jesus. We'll talk about God. So the girls would get down on their knees from wherever I could remember, and we would pray to God. Do you remember that?
Wow, yes I do.
Only focus on what we have in
amazing.
common.
I love that.
That's such a beautiful takeaway in learning, just to share from, that's a difficult scenario to navigate, I'm sure, and breaks up probably a lot of families.
Yeah.
But to think about it from that perspective, you're a genius, first of all. And to just think, let's actually just see what we have in common. And I think that mentality can be applied to any issue that you have, not just religion, background, race, whatever differences you might have with raising your kids. Let's focus on what we both want it to be similar of, not our differences.
Or what we have in common, yeah.
Yeah, focus on our similarities versus differences.
Yeah.
It's always, I think it's a fact of life in general, but that's
Isn't
beautiful.
it? I love that. That's so nice.
And it worked, it paid off, everything went smoothly, and that's...
One thing I really want to put out there that I learned from the books is surround your children with their successes. And so I have a question, and again, I want you to answer somehow and then get back to us and let us know if you got the right answer.
Comments.
Why
in the
do
comments.
doctors and lawyers have all of their degrees and all of their accolades posted behind them in their offices? Why? And
Well, one
What?
answer logically would be just so that the patients see that there's credibility.
There you go. This is what I thought. Well, I
Yeah.
thought it's kind of to show off how great they are. Like, look, I got there. But that's a different angle. Credibility. What?
I would say credibility too.
Well, what I read, maybe it was even Chicken Soup for the Soul. I'm not sure what the source was, but it was a really great source. And it said that the primary reason those are up there is to remind the individual how great they are. Whether you're a doctor or a lawyer, you don't always have good days. Sometimes people are coming after you to sue you, or you lose someone. If you're a doctor, they don't live, and you question yourself. And so they said they surround themselves with their successes. It's for them. It's not for anybody else. And then they went on to say, surround your children with their successes, because they will have hard times. You want them to be able to look up and say, look what I accomplished. So I hate drilling holes in walls. I hate that with a passion. There was no white space in your room.
I wish we could have pulled up a picture. Maybe
You
we'll have
have
one.
it.
Do I?
Yes.
Or you took some?
No, before we painted and moved.
Did I? I don't think
Maybe
I did.
Dad.
Maybe
Anyhow.
Maybe Dad did. Oh, I hope he did.
Yeah.
So we'll
that would've been
show you
smart.
what their rooms look like. Yes, we did.
Good.
Yeah.
You must have, yeah.
And do you remember
Oh.
going to bed? Every single karate belt, probably 13 belts from white to
We
black.
got our black belts, all of our trophies, all of our ribbons, all of our
Honor
athlete of the
roll.
years. Yeah.
Trophies, medals.
Plaques.
Yeah.
Anything. And
Jerseys even some of our jerseys with our last names would be on the
Yeah.
walls.
anytime you guys, I hope you remember, would be feeling bad, sad, crying in your beds, or not, I would often point and say, look how great you are.
Yeah.
Always remember how great you are. And the proof was in the pudding right around your whole room
Aw.
every night.
I never even thought about that.
I
I
didn't-
just
I
thought
actually
that's what
didn't-
everyone
yeah.
did, but
No, that's very intentional.
Oh.
I didn't know that actually at
I
all.
didn't
that
know
you did
that.
That's beautiful. What an amazing human being.
I know.
And you know what I also want to say is, whether your parent is like that or not, ask yourself one question when you look at your parents: are they doing their best?
Yeah.
Whether, even if your parent, you don't think your parent is that good a parent, I can promise you they're probably trying their best. They don't know any better. Do you remember when you started going to other people's houses, and sometimes you'd say, oh, they have this and they have that, and I kind of feel a little bad saying, oh, well, I can't give you that.
Oh,
So then
so
I
sad.
would say, I want you to go to those homes, and if you see they're doing something, engaging in something or what have you, something that we should have, I want you to bring it to me. And even if they're behaving in a way like we should do that at the dinner table or something, I want to learn. And again, there's a God, because I don't think I ever remember you guys coming home and telling us anything. And maybe you saw through that we do have a decent, good home.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I don't even remember you asking me
No,
that.
I did.
No, I'm just saying in the sense of it probably just went in when you're one or out the other, because we didn't have a reason to even look elsewhere and say I want different. Like, we had it great. We just thought we had it the best.
Two things I wanted to say. So one thing, because you said something really good, like your parent is just trying their best, and I actually just watched a recent podcast on this topic, and your parent is just doing what they learned. And you know, if they're not doing their best, like every human really, we're only the way we are because of how we were raised, and our parents are only the way they are because of how they were raised. And so a lot of times, if you know there maybe wasn't good parenting, if you are that person, to try to be aware of it and not hate your parent for it, but to try to be the change so you don't continue to pass that down. Maybe what we can do to wrap it up, and I think you're obviously going to be a recurring guest, but we're going to do maybe more segments on parenting because we didn't even get to high
Scratch
school
the
yet.
surface,
Scratch the surface.
yeah.
Maybe one thing we can end on is, because we got a lot of good advice from you, maybe from the child perspective, the biggest takeaway, and if it's in the cards, and if I'm ever a parent, that's the number one focus that I will be, because I think the it's such a basic answer: love. Unconditional love. That is, I think, the reason I am who I am today. And from both of our parents, I think there was never a moment I didn't feel that. And obviously when I'm just getting yelled at or a light little spank or something, I never questioned that. And I think that is really the reason I am who I am today. And I try to live my life based on that, of just trying to, and our whole message, literally, be yourself, do what makes you happy, and spread love.
If you ever wonder where that came from,
this
is the source.
Tied it back, because I think that no matter what you do as a parent, if you are doing every action out of love, you can't go wrong. Then you do your best, but like that's what I felt so deeply within us, and will stick with me till the day I die, is how loved we were. So thank you.
And
beautiful.
You know what, Noe? What I want to say to that is a very important thing that I think is really basic, again, from one of the books. Touch your children often. Without them having to ask for it. You wanted to say.
Yeah, so I just want to kind of continue on Noe's takeaway. It's very similar to that, because I think that is the bottom line, is the love. But for me as a kid, and looking back on my childhood, the way in which our parents expressed that love.
Yeah.
And the two number one, exactly, I was going to say that, so we're on the same wavelength, and I'd love you to elaborate. Physical touch and words of affirmation. Telling us consistently we're great people, we're beautiful, we're smart, we're just giving us like encouragement and
Can I say one thing just to that? Even I love you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even
a simple, because I love that you brought up like love, and feeling that love is one thing.
Yeah.
But for parents out there, like having the love for your kid is very important, but making sure that they know that
that's a
is
really good
even
point.
more important, I think, than just having it. Like you could just be like, yeah, of course I love my kid, but do they know that?
Yeah, showing them.
And so that's one thing I'll say from our perspective of what you guys did amazingly right, is showing us and making sure we're aware of and feeling that love through what you said you just learned. You can share it if you want, but
just
physical
touch.
touch.
Yeah.
And what that means is, if you're walking by and they're sitting in a chair, grab the shoulder, rub the head, plant a little kiss without ever having to be asked, as many times that you can. There's never too much, and therefore you never have to ask.
And I think another one that is similar to that is like attention.
Yeah.
All your kid wants is your attention. And, there's a million different things that can take your attention off things, and sometimes you want to put your attention on things that will help you or serve you, and that's okay, but you need to make sure you're giving your kid adequate attention. And I think that's what that I remember you telling us about that. A parent magazine literally said, never walk by your kid without touching them, or just put a pat on the head, just to let them know, I'm thinking of you, I know you're there, I acknowledge your existence, and I love you. And
just one last thing to emphasize, even on the I love you, because I don't think there's ever been a night we went to bed where we didn't say I love you. And it's kind of cute, because some of my friends start to see it too, but even every time we get off the phone with each other, we're like, okay, bye girl, love you. And I don't even notice that we do it. Like, and even if we're just like in a bad mood or we're fighting or whatever, like, okay, bye, love you. We just hang it up. But like, it's so
I'm so proud.
No, I mean, it's literally some of my friends just recently called that out, and I'm like, I don't even notice we do that, but it's very ingrained. And I think like even just those little things, constantly hearing it, I'm so happy and reinforced that, because why did we feel that love? Because it was constantly in our face. Physical touch, acts of service, words of affirmation, and the attention. That's so.
And the I love you is from both parents.
Yeah.
Every single night we were going to come to your bed, kiss you, read a book, and I love you.
Yeah. And if you're a parent that's not natural and that's not how you were raised, because I do hear that sometimes that is difficult for some parents to either say or physically express it, pick one. And maybe that is just attention. Like, wow, you look very nice today. Or, wow, like, thank you for, like, attention on your kid. Even just that is better than nothing. But ideally you could get to a point where you can physically, just lightly touch their shoulder, rub their head, say nice things about them, because it goes a long way.
And you know what? They're actually less needy and demand less from you when you do that. It actually works in your favor.
Yeah, that's a good one. I just honestly think like if more parents took the time to actively think ahead of time and do whatever they can to instill those basic qualities in their kid and show that love and attention and affection, I think that's the number one step to creating a better world, because then you don't have damaged kids or kids that are looking for attention in negative ways, or harming others because they don't have that void, that they have a void within them. I think that's just like the biggest step to saving the world.
It's just like we say, like the people spreading us love, and like all the beautiful butterflies out there, they have love in their heart, so they're able to give love. What happens when someone doesn't have love in their heart and they have hate in their heart, or they just never learned love? They're not able to give love, right?
Yeah.
All right, on that note, thank you all so much for watching episode number 11 of the Metamorphosis podcast with Am, Noe, and the beautiful,
best mom in the world.
Best mom in the world, aka Mama G. Thank you so much for coming back home.
Thank you.
We love you so much.
Love you so much.
Thank you for sharing all your beautiful gems.
Yes.
This is just the icon of what a parent should be, in my opinion.
I just think like the symbol of love. You are just the symbol of love.
We love you so much. Be yourself.
Do what makes you happy.
Spread love.
And morph into the real you. Good job! Guys, welcome to the 11th episode. What am I doing?
Be yourself.
Just do it again, like the pause and then say it. 11 of the Metamorphosis podcast. Actually, no, I said that wrong.
That was so much fun.
That was so much fun.
Thank you.
That's
so
so
much.
good.